Hello, my name is Kevin Probst, and I'm coming to you on this 12th day of May in 2025 from Kevin's Corner, where I write articles and make videos exploring the intersection of cultural, worldview, politics, and theology. Today, I would like to share with you a personal testimony of forgiveness and grace. Compelled by my gratefulness for the unmerited mercy extended to my wretched soul, by a loving and compassionate Savior, I will attempt to tell you how the Hound of Heaven did relentlessly pursue me in my darkest moments of despair. I was born into a Christian home in a small town in northwestern Pennsylvania. Neither of my parents graduated from high school. My father joined the Army and fought in World War II, and my mother patiently awaited his return. And when his tour ended, they married and began a family. My father was haunted by the horrors of war. He sought comfort in the consumption of alcohol. He was miraculously saved one cold and snowy January night and radically transformed by the cleansing power of the shed blood of Christ. I was third born to my mother and father, whose lives were an uncomfortable struggle to make ends meet. Determined to provide for their young family, they dedicated themselves to very long hours of extremely hard work. And together, they agreed that their primary goal in life should be to create more educational and spiritual opportunities for their three sons than they themselves had ever had. My parents removed me from public schools in my 10th grade year, sent me to a Christian boarding school where I had the privilege of being educated by wonderful Christian teachers who taught me well and prayed earnestly for my soul. I found Christ in all his fullness and discovered a peace and satisfaction that the world had promised but could not provide. The bread of heaven satisfied the ravenous hunger of my soul. After 3 years in high school and 3 more years at a Bible college, I launched into the secular world to answer God's calling to preach the gospel and to teach teenage young people as I had been taught. Those early years of my adult life were challenging but fulfilling. I married, had 2 sons, taught in a Christian school, pastored a church, and all was well. And then I lost my way. I became disillusioned. It was so much harder than I expected it to be. Ministry was more than just compassionately caring for the sheep. It was spiritual warfare. It was enduring the persistent attacks of the evil one. It felt like Satan reserved special forces to track down and assault those involved in ministry. It was enduring unexpected temptations from a persistent foe who, in his roamings throughout the earth, was seeking whom he might devour. 2 Peter 5:8. I approached a fork in the road, and I could trust the faithfulness of God and believe that he would enable me to fulfill his calling, or I could choose a path of my own choosing. It was so appealing to follow after the promise of an easier life, financial security, unburdened by the responsibilities of ministry, and accessing the pleasures that were denied on the path that I had been following. I made a bad choice. I chose my way over God's way. And for a time, I avoided the consequences of my disobedience, and I felt content to follow the path I had chosen. I thought I had chosen freedom, only to find out later that it was actually bondage instead of freedom. I fell victim to the deception of the master of lies, and a slight drizzle of consequences evolved into a full-blown downpour. Deep relational, marital, professional, and spiritual problems developed. I was miserable in my conviction. I searched for solace in places and among people who had forgotten God and ignored his message. I moved to a large city where I could live as I wanted in anonymity. I thought I would find financial and professional success. I thought I would make a multitude of new friends and be overwhelmed by new opportunities. I, like Adam and Eve in the garden, believed that I could hide from God. They were unable to hide from God in the garden as I was unable to hide from God in the big city. I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my own mind. In the midst of tears, I hid from him, from The Hound of Heaven by Francis Thompson. It was a sobering moment for me when I discovered that the Hound of Heaven had no intention of giving up on me. In spite of my disobedience, my putrid pride, my arrogance, which emanated from a cold and stony heart, he loved me still. I left the large city, and like the prodigal son, I began my journey back home to the Father. I repented of my sinful behavior. I was a backslidden wretch with no defense for my actions and with nothing to offer but a heart blackened by willful sin. I came to Christ as an empty vessel, broken, impoverished, desperate. As Augustus Toplady expressed in his hymn, Rock of Ages, "Nothing in my hands I bring, simply to thy cross I cling. Naked, come to thee for dress, helpless, look to thee for grace. Foul, I to the fountain fly, wash me, Savior, or I die." A loving Father forgave the disobedience of a rebellious child. My sins were forgiven, yet consequences and regret remain. He has restored to me the years that the locusts have eaten, Joel 2:25. My wandering about in the wilderness was graciously ended, and I have been given many opportunities to preach the gospel and share Christ with hungry and youthful hearts and spread truth when opportunity presents itself. I have tremendous regret for the years wasted, but eternal gratitude for the Hound of Heaven, who loved me when I was most unlovable, and who extended grace and forgiveness when I was most undeserving. He left his Father's throne above, so free, so infinite his grace, emptied himself of all but love, and bled for Adam's helpless race. 'Tis mercy all, immense and free, for, oh my God, it found out me. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, should die for me? Taken from And Can It Be That I Should Gain by Charles Wesley. Thank you for sparing some of your time with me at Kevin's Corner today. I hope this was inspiring and helpful to you, and if so, I hope that you will support my efforts by liking this, sharing it, and subscribing to Kevin's Corner on YouTube and on Substack. And until next time, have a great day.